Good morning to one and all. My name is Surabhi, and I will guide you all through today's webinar. Welcome everybody to the webinar today, Career Opportunities in Interior Design. Since architecture and interior design go hand in hand, MSD, Mysore School of Design, is the interior design wing of Mysore School of Architecture. So to understand what is interior design, the development of interior design, Professor Balaji will be giving a small talk on the development of interior design as a career, as a subject, as a study, field of study, and also as a field of practice. Over to you, Balaji, sir.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible. Good morning all, and I thank MSD management, our beloved principal, Professor Sapna, for giving me this opportunity to play the role of the moderator for this event, which is significant for me as this is our first public event initiated by MSD. We are all very happy to initiate this as a venture from our end. Okay, before entering into my small talk, as I would say, disclaimer, I am not an interior designer, nowhere even close. However, playing the role of a moderator, I am here to give you an objective historical timeline of how interior design has developed as a subject of study and practice. We are very honored to have you, sir, our expert speaker architect, Vishwanath ji, who is going to share his deep engagement with interior design and its contemporary practice with you all. So my outline is only to set the stage and get it started so that he can avoid talking about all historical timeline and focus on his experience and share with us his wisdom. I request him to pardon any errors and I kindly request him to correct me further. Without further ado, let me go with the popular definition of interior design to start with. As we all here in the forum, mostly I would expect you to be new to the field. So without complicating the things, we'll go with a simple definition we all know. Interior design is the art and science of enhancing the interior of a building to achieve a healthier and more aesthetically pleasing environment for the people using the space. An interior designer is someone who plans, researches, coordinates, and manages such enhancement projects. This is the usual definition would know. I'm sure our expert speaker is going to give you more of an insight on this subject. So I'll give you a brief timeline of interior design, how it started as a study and practice. Although interior design has turned into an organized, institutionalized profession just over 100 years, as a subject of exploration and study, it has existed since antiquity. Let me just share a few images, although I don't have a detailed presentation, but I will share a few images to go with. Hope the images are visible to you. So we look at the prehistoric references to interiors. One of those example we find is the Egyptian soul houses, where they used to be like a token when people, in the tombs, in Egyptian tombs, these are made like a token. So a lot of information we get from looking into these little token models, of how interiors of Egyptian houses and palaces and other buildings used to be. We have more of such references. Sorry, it's not moving. Pardon me, excuse me just for a moment. Yeah. So we also have evidences from prehistoric cave paintings of how ancient man used to have his place decorated, designed, and made his place comfortable. Then we move on. There are other examples from prehistoric period like painted walls in nests of Brodgar, Skara Brae, and in our own country we have Bhimbetka caves. We know one of the oldest human habitats in our country, which has these painted interiors of caves. Moving on to antiquity period in antiquity, ancient Greece and Rome. We are very familiar that they had exquisite decorative mosaic floors, and their temples and baths had sophisticated interiors. Then we have references to interiors and furnitures from ancient treatises from the European world. The 10 books on architecture by Vitruvius is one of the well-known references for us. References to interiors, furniture, and architecture is not spared even in our Indian treatises, Indian architectural treatises, which begin somewhere around, we get detailed treatise of such nature from 5th century going on to up till 10th century. So you can see a sample on the screen. Mayamatam is one such example, one of the earliest Indian treatise reference, where we find plenty of ample references to ornamentation and other furnitures and other details. And we have Samarangana Sutradhara from 10th century, which is one of the later Indian treatises to have these references. Then we had epigraphy, relief work, and murals on the walls of Indian temples, palaces, and houses. So this is one of the Indian temple interior, what you can see right now on the screen. Then we have references from 17th century. Kerala murals, wall murals on Kerala. I'm sure there are many other states which also practice such mural practices. Just for an introduction, I'm just telling you this example. Then we have exquisite interiors from Havelis of Rajasthan, somewhere around 16th, 17th centuries. We have these exquisite references. Then we are very proud in our country. We also have, Islamic interiors when Islamic rulers came here and established their centers. Mughal interiors especially were one of those very exquisite interiors where you can find usage of oriental rugs, carpets, exquisite timber work, mirrors were used in the interiors, colored lights were used, araish were used, and even water fountains, water features in the interior. You can see on the screen a very detailed colored araish from a Mughal interior, and on the right hand side, what you can see there is a water fountain within the interior of the building. So such is the development and in the sophistication of interiors we see. And then we have Renaissance institutions, where Renaissance is very important in the history, I believe, for art, architecture, and interiors, because one of the finest institutions were begun during the Renaissance times for fine arts and science and other discussions. So we are all familiar with Michelangelo's paintings in the Sistine Chapel. That is the example you see here on the right hand side. Then we have Industrial Revolution. 19th century is one of the important phase for interior design. Owen Jones popularized theories of interior design to the middle class people. Moving out from royalty and sacred centers. Now interior design becomes theory which was discussed, and it was practiced amongst the middle class as well. 1851 is a salient phase in that development, where Owen Jones' first project to be responsible for the decoration of Joseph Paxton's Crystal Palace, what you see in the image here, for the great exhibition and the arrangements of exhibits within. Owen Jones was of this project to set up the entire exhibition. This was one of the salient phase in interior design. 1899, we see the first launch of the Institute of British Decorators. Then 1915, the London Directory listed 127 individuals working as professional interior decorators. 1938, we see the American Designers Institutes was founded. Post-World War, from the 1950s onwards, spending on the homes increased. Interior design courses were established, and that required the publication of textbooks and reference sources. Historical accounts of interior designers and firms were made available to the local public. 1972, Institute of Indian Interior Designers, popularly called IIID, was founded to establish good professional and trade practices and ethics among its members, and to highlight and enhance the image of the interior design profession and exchange know-how with similar organizations within the country and abroad. Our guest speaker today will definitely throw more light on this aspect because he belongs to this institution. 1986, a Chartered Society of Designers established in the UK. 1997, Ellen Mazur Thompson, author of Origins of Graphic Design in America, determined that professional status is achieved through education, self-imposed standards, and professional gatekeeping organizations. Having achieved this, he declares interior design became an accepted profession. This was a very salient phase. In contemporary themes now today, we see a lot of interior design has moved out of its domain, pretty much, from its role of just being a decoration or just being an ornamental interior, just making interiors comfortable. Now I think we have so many contemporary themes. People are working towards bringing interior design into much more sustainable practice. We have concepts of green interiors. Apart from just being ornamental and aesthetic significance, interior designers are coming up with a lot of value additions to interior design, such as energy efficiency, cost efficiency, space optimization, digital inclusion, and so on and so forth. I really thank for this opportunity, and I think I have sort of started the dialogue on the development of interior design. Uh, uh, Thank you so much, and I request our expert speaker to throw more light on this subject. Over to you, Surabhi. You can go ahead and introduce the speaker for today.
Thank you, Balaji sir. I have a small announcement to all the attendees of this webinar. If you all have any doubts, queries, or questions, kindly leave it in the chat box. We have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, and all of them will be addressed during that session. Moving ahead, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for the webinar, Architect Vishwanath. So Architect Vishwanath is the co-founder and principal architect of Vishwanath Associates. He believes in design to help the marginalized society. Vishwanath formed his own practice in 1998 with over 22 years of diverse national and international experience. He is strongly supported at his office by his wife, Ms. Vidya Vishwanath. She is a painter and an artist and also an architect by passion. Vishwanath Associates have designed buildings and interior projects across our nation and neighboring countries. Architect Vishwanath is involved in various architecture and interior schools in various capacities. So his passion for being in service and his motto goes like this. He was instrumental in design and construction of a senior citizens' home under the Rotary banner and is serving as an executive trustee of the same. Design and construction of a government school in his office neighborhood as a CSR initiative from his firm through the Rotary Bangalore Orchards. Redesign and part sponsor for park at Vasant Nagar. Help upskill youngsters for assisted living among senior citizens. Architect Vishwanath is also associated with the Board of Governors of BMS College of Architecture in Pasvanagudi and BMS College of Architecture in Yelahanka. He is the member of Board of Studies of Architecture for VTU from 2013 to 2016. Also, the Task Force Subcommittee member of Quality Assurance and Public Construction for Government of Karnataka. MC member of Institute of Indian Interior Designers, Bangalore. Assistant Governor, Rotary International District, 3190 for 2018 to 19. President, 2012 to 13 of Rotary Bangalore Orchards. Executive Trustee of Rotary Orchards, Chaitanya Senior Citizens Home Trust. And also he has been featured in leading architectural magazines of India and many newspapers. So some of the awards and citations Mr. Architect Vishwanath has received is the Zonal Award Triple ID Design and Excellence Awards category, institution and public spaces, that is Zone 1 for IIMB Library. Again, Triple ID Design Excellence National Award in 2019. The category is institutional and public spaces for IIMB Redefined. World Architecture Community Award for design at IIMB Library. VA awarded 10th Annual Construction Week India Awards in 2020, Architecture Design of the Year. Also the commercial for Vaishno Devi Metro Station at Nagpur. He believes Sir Winston Churchill's famous quote, "We shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us." Over to you, Vishwanath sir, for a wonderful talk.
Thank you, Surabhi, for that nice and long introduction. I hope people did not get bored listening, but it is always important to know what we have done in the last few years. Thank you very much, Sapna, and thank you, MSD, for the invitation to talk to the youngsters on career opportunities. Namaskara. Nanna Uru Mysuru. So coming back to Mysore, I was born and brought up first few years of my life in Mysore. So it is always nice to get connected to the youngsters of Mysore. And it's lovely to get connected with MSD, who is now planning to start the School of Interior Design. So let me start off by saying I am talking purely out of my own experience. It is very hard to imagine that I've completed 30 years in service of architecture. If I look back, I just think that I'm only about 23, 24 when I just passed out of architecture, but last 30 years has flown in so very quickly. That is the beauty of being in interiors. That's the beauty of being in architecture, because you change the way the world looks at you. So last 30 years has been such a roller coaster ride, and it's been so quick. So for the youngsters, can we have the slide, Balaji? For the youngsters, to look at what is interiors. The interiors is, can we have the slide, Balaji?
Just a moment, sir.
Yeah. No problem. You go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Right. We'll go to the next one. Actually, you guys are lucky because you're talking about career opportunities even before joining the education stream. So we are talking about what are you guys going to do after 3 years of your course or after your undergraduation and post-graduation. That is the futuristic thinking of the education system and by MSD today. So I'll quickly go through my agenda is just to give you what is the meaning of interiors. Then we will go through what kind of, how does education help you? Many a time you see, like for example, architects always say that, hey, you don't need to go to a college or an interior design college to be an interior designer. But how does it help to go to a college? That's very important. You need to understand the science of the design to go to a college. So I'll talk about a little bit about education. What are the skill sets required? Now, when you guys enter in, what is the skill sets that is required for you when you come into the stream of interiors? Then what is the impact on society? I think this is the one single point at which all of you will be excited. I was excited by this. It impact, whom does it impact? It impacts the whole society, the entire 125 crores of people. Interior designers are going to touch each and every person who's going to be in our country, in our society. You're going to touch each and every person. Then what are the opportunities? Then we talk about what kind of people, what kind of places you guys get to join post your graduation. And then the last one will be what makes you to realize that you just have to give a tick and say that, yes, I'll go with MSD for the next 3 years. So I will take you through this little journey of the idea of the meaning of interiors. Yeah. Next slide. My interpretation of interiors is the science of making our built forms more livable to one's requirements. What I would bring in a corollary is an interior designer is like a psychologist. You are like a physiotherapist. You're like a psychologist. Without a psychologist, a neurologist, or a neurosurgeon, or a psychiatrist cannot go forward. He needs the basics from the psychologist to go to the neurologist, or to the neurosurgeon, or to the psychiatrist. So you are like a very bottom line is you guys are the ones who will make the society a better place to live in. Like the first thing all of them will teach you in your School of Interior Design would be that you will learn about anthropometrics. What is anthropometrics? That's a great field of science which tells you about the scale of a person, the international standards, like when you sit, what should be the height, what should be the height of your table. When you play badminton, what should be the width of your court. All this is decided by an interior designer. So anthropometrics play. So you are a kind of a psychologist for this entire profession between architecture and civil engineering. Now, for example, an architect, we keep going to the next slides, Balaji. So like, for example, an architect designs the building, but seriously, when you look at it, who makes it stand? It's a combination. It's an effort between an architect and a civil engineer, a structural engineer, or a civil engineer, which makes the building stand. So who makes the space more livable? It's the interior designer. So you walk into any space. For example, all these projects are designed by us in our office. Now, for example, say we design airport lounges, or say we designed Emirates offices. So when we design these airport lounges, we design these airport offices. It's so important for us to understand interiors. First, it is the interiors which come into force. Only then. Excuse me, I haven't taken a break. Why do you come on the fan? Yeah, so it is very important for us to understand the interiors of airports. So yeah, the interior designer is the one who designs the interiors of the airport. So these are, like, for example, a lounge, for example, an office. These are some of the projects that were designed from our office. So just to give a peek, we can keep going to the next, Balaji. I myself graduated in 90, and the first of the few projects that I did were all interiors. And I was teaching in, we had the School of Interior Design, which was affiliated to the American Society of Interior Designers. So an architect becomes more stronger in space planning, in scale, in various other items, only if you are a good interior designer. It's the interior designer who makes the or difference to an architectural building. So if you're not strong in interiors as an architect, if you're not strong in interiors, you will fail as an architect. So it is always very important in all our offices, we have this interior designers along with us. In our office, if you come to my office, you will see that parallelly we as architects, we work on one hand with interior designers, we work with civil engineers, we work with electrical consultants or electrical engineers, the MEP consultants. So all these together make up a building. So it is not just designing the building for yourself, it is for designing a building, designing the spaces, designing the urban habitat for a better livable space. So they all go hand in hand. For example, this was not designed by us. This is a Google office. Today, things have changed so much in interiors, and with work from home and different kind of fun kind of an offices, you also need to be exposed to green buildings, Griha rating. Confederation of Indian Industries gives you a green certificate, platinum certificate, you have your gold certificate. So you need to ensure that you have the study of the material. That is why education is important. The education is important because it drives you to say in what directions you need to run. What kind of color palette? Each color has a certain value for it. If you're using an orange, you have a certain meaning for it. If you're going to use green, you have a certain meaning for it. If you're going to be yellow, you're going to have. It's not like yellow is a dirty fellow. Yellow is one of the best and the outwardly colors which one can use. So it's very important for us to have the education in interiors. That is why you need to get into a good college. That is why you need to understand the art of architecture along with interiors. The art of palaces with interiors. All of you come from the city of palaces. Look at our beautiful palace in Mysore and look at the heritage building. You have such wonderful interiors. These are some of the hotel lobbies and accommodation and restaurants and other things which are for an interior designer. For example, the Taj hotels have such a large interior department by themselves. Probably they will be the first ones to hire good interior designers from our schools. Every hotel industry has its own interior design setup. They have a huge department of interior design. Why? Because somebody will look into only furniture, somebody will look into lighting, somebody will look into flooring. So basically, interiors, if you look at it, is covered in three ways. Your floor, walls, ceiling. You do these three, interiors is done. It looks very simple. ಇದು ಮೂರು ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನಂದು ಇಂಟೀರಿಯರ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ಆ ಮೂರು ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇರೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಂಟೀರಿಯರ್ ಡಿಸೈನ್. ಲೈಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಬಾರ್ ಕೌಂಟರ್. So when you design a bar counter, you not only will get to, of course, you get to taste a lot of liquor. That's a separate issue for an interior designer. But you also need to know the different sizes, the different ways of keeping the glasses and the whole lot. So you see a contrast. You see in a home, this is one of the homes which we designed. You see a contrast between an artifact, a puja room to a bar. So this is the kind of wide variety of things that you get to design. You get to design cane furniture, you get to design upholsteries, you get to design a whole lot of things. So the importance of the design is very much intuitive with the kind of material you use. Like for a particular puja room, we have used brass. We have used so the study of materials, that is where you will find the education is important as far as interiors is concerned. And look at this auditorium which we have designed. Now, when you come up and ask me, look, what is, like many of them will come, Are, what is so big in an auditorium? Man, you only have to put your hands in that and you look at it. The most important thing in an auditorium is people have to hear well. Then you need to see the performer. And the third is the interior. But the interior designer has to bring in acoustics, has to bring in sound, and only then the interiors, because unless you coordinate all these three, you cannot bring in a good building. You cannot design an interior. So an interior designer in your syllabus, I'm sure MSD will include some portions of acoustics, some portions of sound, some portions of your wall paneling. All this will be included in your education. And it's very important that you guys will go on a lot of case study tours to understand the art of design. So even in any, like for example, I have a person who manufactures chairs, in Bombay for auditoriums, specialized chairs for auditoriums and large stadiums. And he says his tagline is, "There is no Indian who has not sat on my chair." Imagine, just with chairs, as an interior designer, and as a chair manufacturer, he's got an interior designer with him. Because there is a lot of aspects of color which plays an important role in interiors. What is the thicknesses, thickness of the cushion? What kind of plastic mold you need to do? So once you have a basic education in interiors, you guys can, tomorrow, you can always specialize in interiors for furniture manufacturing, for your acoustics, or for your it could be just a carpet manufacturer. So all these put together will become a career opportunity, which we will talk as we go further. Yeah. The other industry, the other place where you guys will be more required would be the automobile industry. The automobile industry also requires good interior designers. Why only automobile industry? Even an aircraft manufacturer requires a good interior designer. Because that's the look and feel. You look at it. I mean, at the time of elections, there are a whole lot of people who will come to you for changing to modify their automobiles. So when you do an automobile industry, you also need to know the mechanical engineering portion of it. So it is not that you're going to be glued to yourself to just doing some furniture. You're going to be understanding mechanical, you're going to be understanding air conditioning, you're going to be understanding the lift, you're going to be understanding electrical. You will have a peek into everything. Only then you can become a successful interior designer. It is not like jack of all and master of none. You need to be a jack of all and master of all. Even if you do not master everything, you need to know, because you need to lead them to lead the consultants along with you to make a good interior of a bus. Look at this. They have changed how the interior of a bus is. So it's very important that you understand that is why education is required, because there is somebody to guide you. If there is nobody to guide you, how will you even move forward? So bus plays an important role. Yeah. That's the fun of being in interiors. This particular project of ours has won a lot of awards for us. And this is the interiors for Indian Institute of Management Library in Bangalore. It was a competition project about 3 years back, 4 years. And the only intent the director gave for all of us was, look, the footfall has decreased. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. The footfall has decreased. Andre, the youngsters like you are not getting into the library. They're not getting into the library. So how would you make it interesting? So this competition went on for about 6 months. They shortlisted a couple of designers, and finally we won it. We designed the 3 floors. It's about 60,000 square feet. So when we looked at, you can hold on this for some time. Yeah. So when we looked at the interiors, now it is, why am I trying to explain this project? Not because I got the award for this. I'm trying to explain the complexity. So when the director came and told us that the footfall has decreased because the youngsters are not coming in, and mind you, this IIM Bangalore was designed by the famous Doshi. He's the Bhishma Pitamaha of Indian architecture. So it is a completely stone and concrete building. So if you look at it, I was not even supposed to tamper with the building because it's a heritage building. So keeping that in mind, we had to interview all these students. So the students said that, look, for architects, it's a great building, but I don't get inspired. Many a time it's gone old because the youngsters like you. So they said that we want places to sleep in the library. You know, we want to rest after some time. You know, we gave them a retiring place in the library. They wanted the books to be easily available. So we had to bring in the radio frequency digitalization of the library. Then they were saying that, you know, if I talk in the ground floor, second floor can hear. There is so much of echo in this building. So we had to bring in acoustics to this. Then they said that, look, I want to hear international lectures. I don't want to do it on a laptop. I don't want to. So I want a video wall. So we introduced a video wall. And now if you have a video wall in the library, it's going to disturb a whole lot of people. So we brought the video walls with, if you look at it in that picture, right behind that is the video wall. And you will see that the video wall is with the headphones. They sit and listen to the lectures. Then they said, but how do we access the book? So what we did was we kept a training for it. So we have hands-on training for people to understand where exactly in which rack the book is. So everything is digitalized. So interiors is something either you work from home or you work from offices, you go to library, you go to airports, you go to a bus stand, or you go to a home, you go to school, anything and anywhere you require interiors. It is not something like it is only for the elite population. No, it's not. It is for everybody to make a better living. So that is how this IIM project came into being. Then you have this cafeterias. Cafeteria is one place which you guys will freak out on, because the kitchen itself is a particular interior design. You need to be upskilled as far as kitchen is concerned. You need to understand what kind of fabric to use, what kind of mesh to use, what kind of tables to use, what kind of finishes to use, because you need to give definitely a different kind of an experience to your the future clientele. So these are important, like cafeterias play a very important role. The food, obviously the food is important. You go to the cafeteria because the food is important, but also to enjoy the food, you need to have a better ambience. That is the reason why you go into a cafeteria or a restaurant. So cafeteria, restaurants, hotels play an would be a major source of attraction for interior designers, because you will be absorbed in that. Yeah. So what's the kind of education? We have the bachelor's degree, like what MSD is offering to you, like Manipal Institute of Technology. Our School of Architecture has a School of Interior Design also. You have an undergraduation, which will teach you design, sketching, case study, materials, internship, workshops. And then you have your master's program. There are a lot of architects who go into a master degree programs. Why master degree? I have seen a lot of civil engineers and architects who get into a 3 years bachelor's degree in interiors, 4 years bachelor's degree in interiors, post passing the coming out of architecture or interiors, because there are also short-term courses of 1 year, 2 years available. There are a lot of these guys who get into it. So once you come into post-graduation, there you will get into what are you going to specialize in furniture? Are you going to specialize in kitchen equipment? A whole lot of things. And then you also get to understand the what kind of detail and more importantly, you do a lot of you get into the master degree program because you want to have a good networking with your own set of people. Look at this fascinating world of interiors, which you almost make it in like a 3D with model making. Of course, 3D printers are available today, but even then, it is important for us to wet our hands and make a nice model. So model making is going to be an important part. Like when Balaji was playing the introduction, he was also showing you how those youngsters in architecture are making their own walls, they brick and mortar, they have to dirty their hands, they have to wet their hands. So this is going to be an exciting period. The next 3 years are going to be very exciting for all of you. Yeah. Go to the next one. We were, the case studies are a very important part of the study in architecture, study in interiors. You know, we are designing a museum and before I started the design of the museum, we went to see the Louvre Museum in Abu Dhabi. Some of us from our office, we went to see the Louvre Museum in Abu Dhabi. So unless the beauty of interiors, beauty of architecture, the beauty of the education of interiors and the education of architecture is always the case study to us. One is you get to have fun. And then the second portion is you get to see a lot of new buildings. Of course, I forgot to tell you one other thing. For the boys who are going to join, you're going to have a lot of girls as your friends. It goes without saying. There are a lot of women, a lot of nice girls who are going to join interior design. And for the girls, it's interesting because you will be one up on the boys. So because the numbers are less, but it's the case study tours are the most important part of your entire 3 years career. All 3 years, you're going to have case study tours. And unless you understand the earlier buildings of the excellent architects, you cannot design good interiors. We recently had a meeting with, we went to have a darshan of, we had a special darshan of Sri Ravi Shankar very recently. And they have a nice NGO called Madhurya. And they want to revive the art of Indian doors. Like for example, if you drive between Mysore to Bangalore, there is so much of the road is getting widened. There is so much of destruction of our old culture, and the new RCC columns and beams are coming in. So how can we bring back the importance of doors, the gateways, like how we ಇವಾಗ ಈ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಊರಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಂಡವಪುರದಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೀರಂಗಪಟ್ಟಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಈ ಡೋರ್ಸು ವಿಂಡೋಸು ಜಾಲೀಸ್ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ how to get it back. He's working with them. He wants us to work with his NGO to bring back the art of the doors and the windows, of the old art and the doors of the windows. So interior designer plays an important role to basically to bring in a character to the city, to bring in a character to the building. You are the guys who are going to build characters. Your building will have a character because of the interior design. The other beautiful aspect of interior design, this is in our office, is your practical training. You're going to have a lot of fun. you get to meet a whole lot of people across. You get to meet other interior designers from other schools. You get to meet architects. You meet to get, so networking becomes such an important role. You go out for lunches, you go for dinners. So practical training plays an important role in interior design. Then, of course, we have this. What are the skills required? Some of the skills that you actually require is adapting to colors. You should start loving the colors, or most of you already love colors. So how would you enhance the interest in your colors? You need to read across. I mean, it's not necessary that you read only architecture and interiors. You also need to know how and why a perfectionist like Roger Federer, such a great tennis player, or it could be Rahul Dravid, or it could be anything across. Your reading habits have to improve. Appreciate nature. You can keep going to the next one. And networking and sketching plays an important role in interiors. The colors. You will see that there are some pictures of this. This is a school which we looked at, and the interiors of the school which we designed. And so for the kids to enter in before they enter the painting class, so we kind of looked at all this. I mean, they designed it this way. How the TT tables are. If suppose if you're going to a music room, on the top right you have these walls of different musicians. So all this forms a part of lighting. All this forms a part of interiors. This is an educational institution in Pune. Yeah. I especially picked up the slide at the bottom slide, because that had, that's where you do your painting. That's where the kids were getting into the painting classes. Appreciate nature. You should be one among the rest to appreciate nature. You learn a lot through nature. Yeah. Networking. This plays an important role, because you need to know the art of talking. You need to know the art of mixing with people, what to talk, how to talk, where to draw your line. It's very important. So yeah, networking is another important phase of your education. That is why you need to go to a particular college, so that you get into the right kind of practical training, get into networking. And sketching is such an important, I'm sure you'll have MSD has got great artists to teach you sketching. Proportions are very important for you. And the best part of the college curriculum will be that you don't sketch in class. You go out to the streets to sketch. And how are you going to impact people in your society, in the society? So we have, the generations will have a better quality of life. You'll see behavioral changes and the psychological. I told you in the beginning, interior designer is like a psychologist. Without an interior designer, architecture becomes a very difficult part of the entire syllabus. So where are your opportunities? You have a whole lot of opportunities which are opening to you. You have interior design offices. You can join architect's office. Hotel industry has a large chunk of people requiring interior designers. You have developers. You have startups. You have huge startups like Live in Space and so many of them who want interior designers to design their apartments, to design their houses. Then you have furniture manufacturers like Featherlight. You have a whole lot of them in the entire country who want interior designers because they cannot move out without, they just cannot move a step forward without interior designers. Marketing professionals, people require your help to market their products because you understand those products better than, and you can explain to your end user or to the architects or to the interior designers or to the civil engineer the product better than the others. Then you can join as a as a content writer in publication houses. Of course, teaching is once you do your masters, you can even teach. Fabric, they take quite a few interior designers for, I'm sure if you look at Fab India and others, you have not only textile designers, but you also have interior designers because they are the ones who design the shops. They are the ones who say that these are the kind of fabrics which need to go into each of these places. And now the most important part, why MSD? The reason for you to be in MSD is, the best part of being in MSD is you have a collaboration with students of architecture. Don't forget that, because your peer group is going to be really great. Then you have, we support you as Triple ID. What is Triple ID? You have the best of the interior designers and architects in that group. So we're going to support you. If you look at the kind of experience we bring will be the kind of man hours we can bring into you is thousands and thousands, millions of years, all of us put together can give you that kind of an experience. Joint workshop between architecture students and interior designers. And what better than a city of Mysore? Because it's the cleanest city in the country. So you look at outside, you need to make the interiors better. And of course, the most important part, you have a great faculty and a visionary management. So it's a great idea for you to, first of all, it's one of the finest professions to join. The second is you are able to go to a college which is nearby to you in Mysore. You don't have to travel thousands of kilometers to go to a school. And the third important aspect is you have a great faculty. So look at it and just go for it. Thank you very much. Right, welcome to the world of interiors.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your great presentation. I kindly request Surabhi to introduce our principal, Professor Sapna.
Thank you, Balaji. I think I'll introduce myself. A very good afternoon to one and all of you who have registered for this webinar. I gather we have got participants from all over Karnataka and some of the other states as well. Just to tell you, Professor Balaji has spoken to us about the history and evolution of interior design as a field of study and all the associated memberships and things that went with it. And Architect Vishwanath gave a very comprehensive presentation of what is the scope for work in if you choose interior design as a profession. Thank you, sir. That was very nice of you. For all those who will be thinking in their minds, I guess most of you are in that stage of life wherein you have to make a very important choice, a choice of your career. Today's students actually are spoiled by choice because you have so much to choose from, which is why I think webinars such as these will give you a sneak peek into what future holds for you if you choose this as a career. Mysore School of Architecture has been in existence from 2014, And our flagship course there is BARC. It's a 5-year course. Now, with the coming in of NEP, that is the new education policy, we, in line with the NEP, wanted to diversify and more so in allied fields. So the first step has been to introduce Mysore School of Design, which we have launched this year, and have approval from the University of Mysore. And like Professor Vishwanath told us, we will be mentored by the IIID Bangalore Center. Uh, we have got two courses here. One is the BSc Interior Design, and the second one is the BWalk Interior Design. All of us, like the most frequently asked questions are, why BSc Interior Design, or why not BSc Interior Design instead of BWalk? Now, both are 3-year degree courses, and the eligibility clause for BSc Interior Design is you have a prerequisite of science in your +2 stream. Whereas for a BWalk, it is under the National Skill Development Framework. So it aims at enhancing the skills of people, more aimed at getting jobs and or starting being an entrepreneur yourself. So the BWalk has got entry from, again, the qualification at +2 level can be from any stream, science, commerce, or arts. And the other thing is, if for some reason you want to leave the course after a year, it has got multiple exit points. So after 1 year, you will get a diploma, and after 2 years, you will get an advanced diploma. If you finish the 3-year course, which is what we all aim at, that everyone finishes their 3-year course, then you get a BWalk in interior design. So this is how it has been planned, and like sir has mentioned, we have a very good team of faculty present. It is going to be housed in the campus, in the same campus as Mysore School of Architecture. So there will be a lot of interaction between students of the School of Architecture and the School of Interior Design. Now, if there is any particular question, you can, I think Balaji can just read out from the thing, and then depending on who can answer it, me and or Architect Vishwanath will take it.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we had floated before the webinar, had floated the Google form asking for questions, which we will discuss today. So I have the list of the questions here, but I could see much of the questions were already answered by Vishwanath ji and as well as Sapna madam. Both of them have answered. I will try to pick up the questions which can be elaborated or more detail could be required. Meanwhile, I think the participants can also text in the chat box. The questions will be taken during the session. Please do so. To start with, one of the questions we have is asking about the eligibility criteria for admission of both BWalk and BSc degree. What should be the minimum eligibility criteria? I think you're the best person to answer.
I have already mentioned. So for BSc, it is second PUC with science, and we are asking for 50% in the +2 as a criteria. Somebody has said, is there a entrance exam? As of now, no, we do not have an entrance exam. If we get oversubscribed, that may be one way of screening, but no, we don't. As for this year, we have not planned any entrance exam. As long as you satisfy the basic criteria of having more than 50% in your +2, which I think most of you will have with whatever system has been put in place now, and you are from the science stream, you can take up BSc Interior Design. For BWalk Interior Design, you have to, your +2 marks, you just have to have a pass in +2, and you can be from any stream. Now, suppose somebody has already done a degree and they want to join, again their qualifying criteria will be their +2 marks, then, but they can join anyway. Somebody is saying, They have done their engineering and they will finish their engineering this year. So now that person can join BWalk and get trained for 1 year and then go back to working and come back later, or do that diploma and get trained in interiors that way, because you seem to already have some knowledge about the softwares. But the design aspects, in 1 year, sufficient amount of training would be given, and you will be better equipped to go into the profession.
Another common question I could see here, people are interested to know what, as a freelancer, in competition with the kind of big firms which is there around, big setup which is there around, what could be the scope for a freelancer if one has to independently take up the venture? Vishwanath sir, I think you're the best person to answer. Would you like to take the question?
See, it's like the best part of being in a country like ours is 1.25 billion. It's not small. If you have the Apollo hospitals, you also have the smaller Sugunas, smaller. If you have a Chalwamba hospital, you also have the smaller nursing homes. As far as interiors is concerned, there is no dearth for doing freelance work, because the larger companies will definitely come with their overheads. It's like you go to a small SLV joint, also you get a good dose. You also go to a 5-star, also you get a good dose. But what is the difference between the two is, what is the difference between the two. Here you get to stand and eat and finish your dose quickly and go. There you have a little environment where they will come and lay your table, your fork, your spoon, and everything else. So ultimately, either you are a freelance interior designer or you are in one of the larger companies. It doesn't matter. There is a market for everybody. Like for example, I remember this particular instant when Hindustan Lever changed their the shampoo packets a few years back, from selling the larger ones to 1 rupee packet. The reason why they did that 1 rupee packet was because people are able to, even if they buy it every day one and make it 7 rupees also, they don't mind spending that rupee 1 per day, because that's where they earn that money. So either it is going to be a small firm or a large firm, our population is enough to take it. Otherwise, none of us would have survived. So don't get worried about your competition.
Thank you, sir. Because we have many number of questions here, I'm going to generalize and not take it as specific question, but put them under one bracket and ask. There's another question which is to talk about the kind of remuneration and returns, for people who are competing with in science fields and technology field and all that. How do we look at this particular field? This is one of the questions. Both Sapna ma'am and Vishwanath sir, I think you can answer this.
See, I think money, as long as the itch is there, it will come. And nothing to substitute hard work. Today, you cannot really, have a direct relationship between education and the remuneration that one gets. So, but like sir has said, there's a lot of scope because there's a lot of demand. Now, interiors, what happens is, buildings stay on for many years, but people keep redoing their interiors and all that, and that is why there is a lot of scope, especially in more urbanized areas and all that, and work keeps coming in. The other advantage of being in interiors is that interior projects, the time span is much lesser than it is for architecture projects. It's a very laborious thing in terms of a lot of detailing to do, a lot of work to do, but then it happens very quickly. So in terms of the money flow, there is more when you do interior projects, which is why architects also sort of they supplement their earnings with interior projects. And there are cities like Mumbai where architects are entirely involved in interiors because there's more scope and money in it. So that should not be an issue. And like I said, whatever you do, whether you do interiors, whether you do medicine, whether you do architecture, whether you do civil engineering, the money will come as long as you have the will to work. It will come. if you want things, immediately, then may not be possible. But as long as you're ready to work hard, I'm sure the money will come. As how much ever each you have in your hand, you will get that money. But then you have to do it in a very professional and ethical way. That is what is important. I don't know if Sir wants to add something.
Actually, yeah, right. Professor Sapna, actually, you hit the nail in the right place. Adding to that, what is important is don't forget that interior designers, architects, actors, directors, you're personality based. While a software engineer is not a personality based. You're one among the millions who are going to work. But when you are in your interior place, what happens? You are in direct touch with your client. You're in direct touch with the end user. You're direct touch with any person who's using it. So it becomes all the more important. I would say it is more responsibility driven to be an interior designer. And as far as remuneration is concerned, believe it or not, as she said, most of us, most architects start with interiors. Why? Because it's quicker and then it's far more remunerating than architecture because the turnaround time is very quick. And then you have another side to it. There is something called turnkey projects where you design and even execute it. So you become the designer and a contractor so that your remuneration is much better. So don't worry about it. You will graduate from a Maruti to a Mercedes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for a positive answer. So this question is for you. Regarding the memberships, people want to know, whether BWalk degree will also qualify for an IIID membership, or what other memberships are possible after holding these degrees.
Right. Now, there are two kinds of memberships that we have. One is obviously like you pass out from schools and college. In all probability, we will, as you guys start, we're going to see that how you will start becoming members, student members. We will see how to make the students of MSD as student members of MSD of IIID. And then in IIID, we have two kinds of membership. One is for the interior designer, architect, who are actually the proper designer. And then if people in BWalk get into, we have something called trade membership. So a trade membership is somebody, if you're going to be a contractor tomorrow, you're going to be a manufacturer, or you're going to be in the sales team of a vendor, you also become a member of the IIID. So we have two kinds. We did not want to leave that. So that is how an interior designer, architect is a member and a trade member. So you will definitely fit in one of these two.
I just want to add to that. I think IIID as an association is far more inclusive than other things like IIA and all. So there is a scope for everyone who is in the field to become members. And BWalk is a new course that has come in just now. I'm sure the IIID executive committee or someone will have a meeting, because that is also a qualification of interior design. It will be included in the coming years, because now, as of now, we don't have too many graduates of BWalk, because this has been introduced as under this National Skill Development Scheme only recently. So that will be included. See, there is another question. Balaji, I just saw it, caught my eye, so I'll take it myself. It says, how can we benefit in the long term between BWalk and BSc? Like I told you, BWalk is aimed at people who want to get into the field of practice as soon as possible. Not all of us are on the same platter. Someone can afford to give more time for education. Our parents can support our education, but there are so many others who have to support their own education or get into, supporting the family also quickly. So the BWalk is, it is for those sort of people who can can get into the field early. Suppose someone has already graduated, sometimes they will be very creative people on their own, but they want some sort of a degree to get that, plunge into the profession. So this BWalk will, and also the course is structured in such a way that there is more stress on skill development. In fact, it is 40% for your on class in the class sessions and 60% for practical sessions. That's the difference between BSc and BWalk. Even the exams and the way the classes will be taken is structured that way. So if you're looking at that, but if you're looking at further studying, if you're looking like an MSc in interior design or a master's in product design after interior design, all these things, then I would suggest that you go in for a BSc. Somebody has asked about the fee structure also.
Yes, I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Fee
So
structure and hostel
on an
facilities.
average, yes, we do have hostel facility. We have got transportation facility in Mysore, and the fee structure is going to be about 1 lakh per year plus the university fees, which comes to around 27,000. This is for local students. If somebody is from outside of Karnataka or outside of the country, whatever fees the university is charging for them for this equivalence and migration and all that, that will apply. So on an average is about 1.3 lakhs per year.
Next question is,
Sorry, if anyone wants any further detail, you can contact our office. It is available on our brochures, and all the numbers are available on our brochures.
there's one more question, which is asking about the relevance of BWalk degree in other countries outside India. Could you please take that, ma'am, as well as sir?
As of now, I'll be very honest with you, I have no clue. But like I told you, this is more as to develop the skills. And many times what happens is these people have already come in with a degree. Okay, so those degrees actually world over, nobody is looking for actual specialization in the same thing. They allow for changing. Like I have got classmates who did architecture in their bachelor's and later on graduated to computer science. I mean, they changed to computer science. And I also know people who did architecture who went into fine arts, and vice versa. There are great artists who have created finer architecture. So there's a lot of cross-disciplinary studies and all that possible. So I'm hoping that it will be recognized all over the world, but I don't have documentary evidence for that as of now, but I will definitely find out and let you know.
I get a sense there are a lot of diploma holders as well, or at least the students registered for diploma.
Yes.
Quite a few of them are asking, after their diploma course, in some of them are doing in diploma in interior decoration and design itself.
Yeah. So for them, what it is so those of you who have got a diploma in architecture or interior design, there is a scope for lateral entry. Which means that you can come directly to second year, because your basic skills of drawing, drafting and all that, we assume you would have acquired in your 3 years in diploma. So the first year, of course, you will have to do language and all that separately, because that is their part of the university requirements. But the other things you will be exempted from, and you will join straight away in second year. We are yet to go to the university to get that permission, because we are starting first year as of now. All those of you who are diploma holders and seeking to do these degrees, you will be able to join in second year straight away as a lateral entry.
We have one more question, which is, I think, useful, is about the age limit to get admitted to the program. Someone who is, I think, around close to 39, 40 years old is asking this question.
There is no age limit for this course. Mysore University, I think for BSc also they don't, if at all Mysore University has an age limit for BSc, that will be there. But for the BWalk course, there is definitely no age limit. The person who is 39 is well within also, so they can join.
So I can see most of the questions are again repetitive.
Okay.
And some question which are like, can I pursue interior design as a side job rather than a full time? I think this is appropriate for Vishwanath sir to answer. How is the scope for pursuing the interior design as an alternative job, as an alternative this thing rather than a full time career? Maybe probably I assume the person is already into some job and is thinking of taking up a course. How to
What is he asking? Interior design as a profession.
as a profession, can he take it as a along with his mainstream job, whatever the person might be doing?
No, I think he's asking if he can do education along with the job he is doing.
Education. I think if you can answer both, it will be wonderful.
I think it's very important because it is good to go with this flow of doing education and the job in which he is already working with, because except that he may have to adjust his timings accordingly. But otherwise, it always gives a wider perspective for us. I think he must be a civil engineer already, or a diploma in civil. He must be a diploma in civil or a civil engineer, and that is going to help him a lot, because procurement, and especially in suppose he's working with large contracting firms, or the person who's procuring materials will have an added advantage of being an interior designer. So it is always good to be, like I always see, these people who come with diploma in civil engineering and then they graduate as civil engineers. They come up with a better identity of the skills, the actual soft skills in civil engineering, rather than the guys who have just finished 4 years, because they would have got a certain experience after diploma. So I think it is definitely good to get on to this profession, even though you're working with one other organization.
Thank you, sir. There is another interesting question. Now, I have plans to study abroad, in prestigious universities. So taking up these two courses, is it going to give an edge for somebody who...
Balaji, you're muted.
So sorry. I said there is another interesting question. I have plans to study abroad in prestigious universities. So are these courses going to give him an edge, later when if the student wants to apply abroad?
See, edge you will definitely have, because one thing is the kind of education process that you will go through is backed by some very good faculty who will give you extremely good knowledge about the subject. Second, we will also have some sort of a support and mentoring from the professional people through IIID. And third, we are also trying to look at some international collaboration when we start. So that should give you the edge if you want to go abroad for further studies.
And also,
Yes.
the universities abroad have this. They don't look at only your what you have scored in your undergraduation. They also look at your co-curricular and the other things what you've done along with your studies. So it gives them an idea as to what the student is interested in. So I am quite sure it will not go waste. It will add to your portfolio. It will add to your whatever the credits you get.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, this is a specific question concerned with the curriculum. Is the course credit system based?
Yes, it is CBC.
Is the case? Will it be valid? Will the credit will it be valid to be used abroad and within the country for other higher studies?
See, choice-based credit system has become the order of the day. Most universities have been told and are going for the choice-based credit system only, so that it becomes easy for people to transfer credits if they move into an institution apart from change of university. All that. Of course, there will be something called syllabus validation and all that. All that will have to be done, but these credits will be taken. I think we will finish now. Okay, Balaji, I think we'll be short of time because 12:30 our link will expire.
Sure.
I would just like to take this opportunity to mention to all the participants, thank you for your participation and your questions and all that. Tell us that quite a few are interested to know more about the course. Please do contact our office if you have any questions. And also next week we are planning the same kind of a webinar for the course architecture that we are doing at Mysore School of Architecture. We have your email IDs and we will send you the brochures and all that. Please do log in if you are interested and tell people about that, because just like this was insight on into the course of interior design and the field of interior design as a profession, we will do something on architecture next time. Okay, and I also want to thank my team here, Professor Sandeep, Professor Vivek, Professor Mahant, and Professor Vivina Kutaya, who will be the principal of Mysore School of Design, and all your queries will go to her. Or without their support, this would not have been possible. So thank you everyone. Vishwanath sir, thank you so much for taking time off from your busy schedule and putting for us that way.
Absolute pleasure. There was just one question on that.
Yeah.
They wanted to know about a flush door.
Huh. I was about to tell you, please join the course, we'll teach you.
They're just understand. Yeah, that's a good. That's actually a good answer, Sapna. But the only difference is understand. You should always look at a door. Is it a timber or is it manufactured? So if it is manufactured, it is flush door. If it is timber, it is natural. If you know these two, it is fine.
Okay.
Super. It was really nice. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. I think we can log off.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Just to add before we log off, there were a lot of questions on BArch and architecture.
Yeah.
The next webinar, which our principal had mentioned, please try to attend that. The participants who are having questions about architecture, even if you have dilemma between architecture and interior design, I think participating in that webinar will give you more information about the same. Please don't hesitate to mail us, get in touch. No contact. Thank you.
Super, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sapna.
Bye, sir.
Bye.